Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. It is a very warm 4th of July here in the UK. I hope all of our ungrateful colonial friends in America are having a happy treason day. Welcome to you all. I hope you haven't blown your fingers off with fireworks yet. I saw a meme just before we came on air and it said, someone in America doesn't realize that today is the last day they have 10 fingers. And no doubt that will happen. I'm sure it will. But please, if you're doing something like that later today, stay safe. Light them from a distance and run. Anyway, happy 4th of July to all of our American friends. Welcome to the show. It's episode 274. It is Friday the 4th of July, in case you hadn't realised. And this is Pro Synth Network Live. And we have yet another slow news day. I think everyone's gone on hollybobs, and we've not got a huge amount to talk about. So we'll try and talk at length about the things that we do have, and see if that will get us through. It normally does. It gets us through till the 9 o'clock hour here in the UK. So there you go. Before we do anything else, let's just get all the boring stuff out of the way. If you haven't already, if you're watching this channel and you haven't subscribed, please do that now. Subscribe now. Click that subscribe button right now. And ring that little bell if you want notifications of when we go live, whether it's the weekly show, whether it's something we do during the other 6 days of the week. You'll get notified and you won't miss a thing. You can also give us a thumbs up during the show. That would be fantastic. And of course, if you're watching after the event, thank you for catching up and hit that like button. If you also know somebody who might enjoy the show but isn't already watching, then please do share the link. It costs nothing and it helps grow the community. And if you're wanting to comment on anything during the show, if you're watching on YouTube, you can use the chat feature on the live screen page. If you're watching on TikTok, you can do the same there. And if you're watching on Facebook, you can leave comments under the video. We will see all of those. So if you need to comment or want to say hi or anything like that, do so like so. And if you prefix your comment with a capital Q, that means you want to ask us a question about something we're talking about. That's what you do. Just put a nice big capital Q in front of your comment, and then that just helps us identify it as a question, and we just move it to one side so we don't forget it. Or sometimes we do, but we try not to. You can also support us on Patreon because we are completely community funded. You guys keep us on the air. It isn't cheap to run something like this, and so thankfully you all chip in, and we are super, super grateful for you doing that. You can do that through YouTube Super Chat or Super Stickers, but one of the best ways to do it is through Patreon. So patreon.com/ProSynth Network means that you can commit to a minimum of $2 a month, and for that you get access to loads of bonus content. So whether that's patches for your synth, special videos, edited videos that aren't available without watching adverts on YouTube. So everything's ad free on the Patreon page. You've got sounds, you've got instruments that you can download, all sorts of lovely goodies, and that's all part of the package. So if you want to do that, you get something back. So it's a kind of a two-way thing. Same thing applies for YouTube channel memberships. It's exactly the same. If you become a YouTube channel member, which you can do here on the screen if you're watching YouTube, then you get all of that free stuff as well. We send it to you in a slightly different way, but generally it's all instantly accessible to you guys as well. And all of that money gets plowed back into paying the license fees and the subscription fees and everything that we have to pay for to keep this channel going. So thank you for your continued patronage. It is most welcome. You can also support us in another way by visiting our merchandise store. And our merchandise store has lots of lovely goodies in it. So for example, you can have things like water bottles, t-shirts, vest tops, sweatshirts, although this time of the year not that good. You've got the bikinis, you've got posters, you've got candles, you've got bandanas, drinks match posters. There's the Justin Have You cartoon tank. My other synth is a DX1. You've got cushions, mobile phone cases, bomber jackets, all sorts of gubbins in there. So you can pick and choose, and they're generally delivered within a week or so, and we get a little bit off the top of each sale, which helps keep us going. That's a cool one. That's the 32 ounce water bottle which is a lovely thing, mainly because it keeps your drinks hot or cold. So it's good at both times of the year, and it comes emblazoned with the ProSynth Network logo.
And you can find them. And you can find them on German trams.
Yeah, one of them anyway. So there you go. That's another way you can support the show, the channel, and you get something in return. So that's all cool. Don't forget, if you are on social media, most people are nowadays. We are across most of those facilities, except we only really kind of hang out on Facebook. All the others are kind of there, and we sort of put special announcements over there. But you can follow us if you want to. So stop that. You can follow us on YouTube, of course, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, all at ProSynth Network. There you go. I think that's everything. That's all we need to do in terms of have I managed to make that last about 8 minutes? Not bad. I think I've done it longer. We need to. Let's welcome my co-host for the evening, as always. He made it on time and everything, along with Siri, wearing a ProSynth Network dog collar.
Show up your collar. Show up your collar. Look. Head up. Look. Oh, look at me.
Look at that. Gorgeous. And the collar.
And the collar.
Bless.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, it's been quite a day.
Mm.
We sent Steve Winwood his invoice today.
Oh.
And yeah, and he called me back. And he said that he'd looked at the invoice and it was far too much money for me. So I did ask him. I said, "This is the 80 on Valerie, isn't it?" He went, "Yeah." I said, "Because in the video it's a profit 5." He goes, "We're not going to haul a CS80 all the way to the video studio, are we?" I said, "Do you know how much of my life is spent correcting people on what keyboard was used on what single? Because it was much easier to take a light one with you."
Yes, indeed.
So anyway, yeah. So yeah, all good.
Good. Excellent.
Had some fun.
Good.
Yes.
Good to see you, as always.
She wants. There's a Turkish delight over here.
Oh.
And she knows.
Oh, she's lingering.
She goes, "So when are you going to open it, Dad?" Soon.
Bless her.
What was that program? There'd be people chanting soon. It had old what's his mush with the tash in it?
What's his mush with the tash?
Yeah, all right. Mills.
My wife.
Mills. John Mills.
John Mills.
An old John Mills. Was it late 70s, early 80s or something? And it was something about being possessed by aliens or something. It was really weird.
Not a Scooby.
Okay.
Not a Scooby.
No.
Moving swiftly along.
Indeed, moving swiftly along to Mr. Longhurst.
Yeah.
Hello.
That was me accidentally clicked that thing through in the middle of the. But sorry about that. That was a mistake.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm a bit hacked off actually.
Oh, yeah.
I've got FedEx are supposed to have been delivering my Evoke today, and at the last minute they said we'll deliver it on Monday. I think, so yeah, I'm not getting that till Monday. I was hoping to do an unboxing over the weekend, but I'll do it next week. One of those.
Yeah, I know the feeling very well.
It's such a pain when you're waiting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I can sometimes. I still do use the excuse. I took the day off work, but I didn't.
Our friend in the chat got it. Yep.
Quite a mass.
Yeah, I think somebody said it before him up there.
Was John Mills Quatermass? I don't remember him.
In this 2-part film.
Wow.
And they're all chanting soon or something. There you go. Oh, it's the same guy. Okay.
I never got into that. See, he's done it.
But
anyway,
I wonder why that just popped back into my head and was like, oh. Didn't think it was any room left for anything.
I apologise. I forgot to shave, so I apologise for my slightly unkempt. But I'm sure that I'm amongst people who don't give a rat's backside. There you go.
Well, you keep them.
Sorry?
You keep them, do you?
The rat's backside.
You won't give them away. You just keep them for yourself.
I hoard them.
What do you do?
Huge collection.
I know.
They're
Feed the
behind
rest
him.
of the cats. Dear, oh dear. No, it's been a week. Never mind. Anyway.
It's been a 5 minutes, actually.
True.
Yeah,
Very true.
it certainly
Anyway.
has.
So we do have stuff to talk about, but we'll get to that
Right.
in a slow and an easy way. Thank you for your regular donation. Much appreciated, as normal. Ken Flux Pierce wanted to know where babies come from. That was his question for the day.
My mum.
The
It's
stork.
my mum. Empirical data. I've seen my mum's given birth, so baby
thought it was
does come from
Hamburg.
my mum.
Oh, I thought it was Lidl's in the middle of
Oh.
Lidl.
Oh, yeah, that little aisle in the centre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you
Place-
get. That's you're right. That's where you get
It's
babies
where I
from,
always
isn't
go
it?
straight away. If we ever go to
Centre
Lidl,
aisle in Lidl.
middle of Lidl.
Little.
All the good stuff there. Anyway, yes, Ken, as with most Americans, he's got the day off, so he's just lazing, watching F1 and Pro Synth Network. I hope that we are on the bigger screen and with the volume turned up, and not the other way around. F1's bloody processional these days anyway, so I mean, come on.
Oh, shag off! It
It's
ain't
rubbish.
not now.
It's
Not this
rubbish.
year.
It's
Not this
rubbish.
year. It's brilliant. I'm loving
just
it.
Rubbish.
Loving it.
Yeah, they've
Never
introduced challenges.
Such
What, like
as
driving?
They have to do balloon popping as they go around the track.
They have to balance eggs.
Yeah, the
They
crowd
have
has
to balance eggs.
Yeah,
whilst
and the
they're
crowd
driving
throws
around.
oranges at them as they drive by.
are they
and
still
stuff like
doing
that.
the sprint races? Because, like, you know,
They are still doing
it
occasionally.
got so
we haven't
dull.
had one for a little while.
Let's add something else in, like a.
Now, if you want action, V8 supercars.
want proper overtaking, proper
Yeah.
crashes,
Yeah.
bits
Proper
flying
crashes.
off. And, proper crashes where people nearly but not quite.
You
Expired.
didn't watch last week, did you?
I don't watch any of it.
The
Literally
fact
don't
that
watch any of it.
most of the
Overtaking
cars on the track are
crashes.
Mustang it has nothing to do with that.
No,
But
of
it's
course.
Super 8 supercars, mostly from it's Australian, isn't it? It's an Australian thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
With that track
Le
that we
Mans was
drive
good.
on, Robbie.
Le
Yes.
Mans was good this year as well.
Le Mans was very
And
good.
And
It's
it
a big
reminded
racing.
me of Mel and of Hans and the music and the underscore and the atmosphere they did for the two racing for was it not Speed? Senna and something else, wasn't it?
Oh, right. I want to see F1 because apparently it's pretty rubbish. So I want to see it from a car crash, from a literal car crash point of view.
If you want it to be absolutely F1 and you're a nut, then it's not. If you want Hollywood, then apparently it's very
Have you seen it then?
entertaining.
Is it out? I'm not
Not
sure.
yet, so shut up.
Has anybody in the chat noticed? Please raise your hands if you've noticed that we might be padding.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. It is a slow news week, and some of the news that we've got is just like, oh well, it's a twofer. But there you go. We'll get to that in a moment. Is this the Pro Motorsports whining network? Yeah, absolutely.
I like.
Do you know the pub didn't finish until 3 o'clock this morning?
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
And it was bloody hilarious as well. We had a right old giggle. I think we managed to offend every single group and religion and everything else on the planet by 3 o'clock. I don't think we missed anybody out.
But nobody's watching at that time. So.
Well, that's the good part.
Yeah.
I think Justin did a big fart in the middle of it somewhere. It wasn't me. I definitely.
Okay.
Anyway, let's do something that's slightly relevant.
Go on then.
And let's talk about a new piece of software that has launched, and it isn't half bad. This, everyone, is Pivot. That's Pivot by Fours. They do good stuff, and this is their latest plugin, which is a very simple to use FM synth. Haven't we had that? Was it just last week? I think we were talking about simple FM synthesizers. This is great. It's €39, which is 20 something quid, and probably about 39 US dollars. And it is, as they describe it, a no nonsense FM synthesizer with a very simple, straightforward layout. It's a 3 operator affair. You get 2 LFOs, 2 ADSRs. You get a mod matrix. You get a couple of effects like stereo widening and reverb. You've got the mod matrix, bunch of presets included, and all very visual, which is a really great way of doing FM with your eyes and your ears, of course. It's simple, it's cheap, it's straightforward, and of course, as you probably saw in there, you will see, and also 25% off at the moment, so it's even cheaper. So they do a free version, not a demo version, a free version. So all they've done is they've removed one of the operators, so it's a 2 operator synth, which, as we saw the other week with Halogen FM, is no shortcoming, and they ditched the mod matrix on the free one. So if you just want to play around with it and see what it can do and get used to it, you can do so without any financial commitment. But if you want to buy now, it's say 25% off, so it's going to cost you about, I don't know, 20 quid, 25 US, whatever, I don't know. Do the maths yourself. But on that, this is great for, nothing for ages, and then 2 come along at once. It's like a number 9 bus. This is a really nice sounding synth, and the fact it's 3 operators just gives it that little twist, which is nice. I like this. Andrew, I think you've had a play with this. What do you reckon?
I only had access to the freebie. I was looking at that to see whether or not I wanted to get the 3 operator version of it. I did miss having the modulation, etc., but it's okay. For a freebie, it's blooming brilliant. It's not. I mean, it looks fairly simple, but it's a lot deeper than it appears, and it takes a little while to work out exactly what's going on and what's affecting what and how and why. But once you've done that, it's not the most intuitive, but it does reward experimentation. It certainly does. But then I thought about the one we reviewed last week, and I was more persuaded by that than this. But this is free, so I'm a bit sort of puzzled. I'm a bit puzzled. The one from last week felt gloriously analog and organic. This feels very much what it is, which is FM with a lot of shaping going on. Didn't feel as intuitively organic, but it's free.
Yeah,
or you pay your.
There is a free.
In fact,
version,
it's £21 and 80 pence if you buy it.
Nothing. Let's be honest.
It's nothing. Yeah.
For something that delivers this much variety, and something that's slightly different, I think that's pretty.
I must say I am intrigued by how much more it will do with the 3rd operator and with the mod matrix and the 2nd LFO. I just wanted to see more screens, and I wasn't sure I was getting to see everything.
I just like the simplicity. I just like the fact that it's there and it's visual, rather than mathematically numerical and all that kind of stuff. You see, and this is I've always maintained this, that FM, just for me anyway, makes more sense when you can see what's going on, because it's always used to be hidden under multiple menu presses and stuff. So
yeah.
I like the fact you can see it, and you've got filter. There's a 4-pole morphable filter, which of course some FM synths don't, because they don't need it. But this one's got.
That's a nice filter.
Yeah,
that is.
I mean, it's 4-pole morphing, so you can go from low to high to band, or low to band to high, or vice versa, or opposite. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
One cheeky little thing I did notice. So you see here at the top of the screen, you see where it says devices, and that little symbol to the left of it. I thought, hang on a minute, that looks familiar. And if you look at Halogen FM, their Spark feature is. Interesting.
I missed that.
Interesting. But I'm not saying that anything untoward was going on there. If you don't like the GUI, don't worry, because you can also there's a theme creator, So let me just bring that up on screen. So you click on the theme creator, and it's a browser based thing. You choose your colours, so you can go and say, choose that, and you change it to a nice sort of nice blue, and then you can change the accent colours to let's have it something like peachy, and let's do that. And the bright colours, let's make those white. And the hover colours, we'll make those like that. And once you've finished, and you can mess around to your heart's content, or you can just use the randomised colours. That's nice, see? You can go through and randomise that, and then you can download that file, and then you just stick it into your plugin, and you can have it your way, which I thought was a nice little cool touch. It's not necessary at all, but it's fun, and it just makes it your own. Ken?
Yes, dear.
Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I downloaded it last night. I ran it this morning, and I liked it. Do you know what I found engaging about this? It was the visual aspect of it, where I was seeing what was happening while I'm adjusting parameters, which you don't see on a DX7, and you're going, but why is it doing that now? Kind of conversation with it. And I went, do you know what? I'll go and buy the other one. I'll buy the full version. So I bought the full version and played with that one. And then it opened up a whole new can of worms with the Z operator. And I really, I enjoyed using it. Because, at the end of the day, we're not all,
we're not all Manny.
We're not Dr. Fernandez.
No.
Which does sound like a Bond villain, doesn't he? Maybe, is he a Bond villain from the 60s, perhaps?
He could be.
Yes. Welcome, Mr. Bond. Dr. Fernandez.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to modulate.
Yes. Slowly and painfully.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to spit.
Just based on Manny's suggestion, I'm just trying to knock up a DX kind of vibe here.
Oh yeah,
which
okay.
you could do. You see, you put the browns and the greens in. Spend a bit of time on that. You could get quite close.
Where's all the scratches?
I know you can't see. Yeah. But no, look, for the price, I think this is great, and
can't go wrong, mate.
No, and I started playing with this the other day, and it was just very quick and very instant, and immediately rewarding. Very much like Halogen FM, but in a different way. It's a slightly different setup. You've got the filters in here, you've got the effects and the LFOs and the mod matrix and all that kind of stuff. So it's different, but it's as fun and as easy as you want it to be.
That's a nice one.
Exactly. You can just hit there and say, "Oh, I like that one. I like that one," and then just download it and then bring it into your instance. So that's a great thing from Fours. Of course, Fours do a whole bunch of things. They do plugins. So Pivot, you got Sala, and you got Teller. There's also lots of Max for Live stuff as well. So if you're into Max for Live, which I know a lot of people are, they do a lot of things for that. There's a lot of freebies in there as well. So it's worth checking out. So once you go and have a look at them, go and check out their other stuff. There's some really nice things in there. And they're based in Malmö, in Sweden.
I must confess, I think I spent too little time with it, and I had other things I had to do. So I will revisit this, because I think I gave a pretty lukewarm response to it. I don't think I quite got... I'm so used to algorithms. I didn't quite get how 1 and 2 in the freebie related to each other. I tend to agree with that, Ken. But I'm going to play around with this some more. You have both of you bought this now?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't buy stuff, me, but
yeah, he doesn't. But I do.
Being in the press and all that.
Yeah.
But I've got the full version.
Yeah. I will have another play.
It's a good little thing. I like it. I
like it too.
Yeah, nice to see. Easy to understand FM.
It's an inoffensive price.
Yeah, and an inoffensive.
It's a really inoffensive price.
Yeah.
Kill beans. Okay. That's a quarter of the show gone. Let's see if we can spend another quarter of the show. What should we talk about now? I suppose we can talk about and there's not a lot to talk about with these either. But I don't know. These are new, but they're not new, if you know what I mean. There you go. This is the sequential Take 5, which is now available as a desktop module due to popular demand, as they say. It's a desktop module that is exactly the same as the previous keyboard module, but of course it has no keys. Before anybody asks, no, it's not rack mountable because it's too wide. It's about at least 2.5 inches too wide. But it is there. It's available as a desktop edition. So if you don't need the keys, then you can have one of these. I personally, when it comes to desktop synths, I find them even less favourable because I only have one desk and I have a bunch of crap on there already. So if I don't have a keyboard, is easier for me because I can stick it on a shelf or a rack. A desktop thing it clogs up my desktop. So I'm not the target market. But look, the Take 5 was this kind of budget version of a Prophet 5, so to speak. I don't, it's not exactly the same, but it gives you that 5-voice Prophet sound in a more affordable unit. But they've hiked the prices on these. These are not cheap, by the way. I'll get you the exact prices a little bit later on. But the Take 5 has gone down quite well. I played with one, and it's a nice thing. I personally prefer to get the Rev 4 Prophet 5, but it's a nice thing. Any thoughts? Would a desktop version of this encourage you to go out and buy one, or you just like, yeah? What do you think, guys? You can unmute yourself if you want, because we're not.
Yeah, because
you're like my girlfriend's leggings. The lips are moving, but I can't hear anything.
Well, I'm going to be adjusting all of my racks so they're 21.5 inches to accommodate this. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, yeah. First of all, I mean, I've got to say, the demo for the Take 5 keyboard was really good. The demo for this, I just think, it doesn't really sell it to me. I've got to say, even though it's the same thing. Go and if you want to know about sounds, go and see the keyboard version of it. See whether or not you want this. The desktop thing is driving me nuts as well. We need to come up with some sort of, here's my desktop mod. Just pull out one at a time or two, or step them or something. I don't know quite what it needs. Maybe we need a return to Davenport desks or something. That's probably what we need. I'm just puzzled by why they didn't do it as a 19-inch, because as a 19-inch rack mountable, it would make perfect sense.
It would make more sense than a desktop module, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Especially
it would.
With all the connections at the back. It's not a shallow thing, because you've got to then add at least another 4 inches or so of leeway behind it. And if you've got a desk like mine with a step-up shelf in it, all of a sudden that small desktop unit is sitting on the edge of my desk because I've got cables to worry about. I don't think it's a very practical.
How wide is the keyboard version?
A little wider than that, I think.
So there's a very good opportunity for Sequential to take the board from the keyboard version and just put it in a case. Otherwise, they'd have to make a whole new type of circuit board to make it fit in a 19-inch rack.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's this. Clearly, this was something they've done it with every other. I think almost every other synth.
Because there's probably a bit of room either side of the board inside of the keyboard case. And they go, why are we going to design a whole new board to put it into a desktop.
And I suppose the other thing. Oh, what the flipping heck!
Yeah, we'll cover that in a minute. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh my god, I adore that man. What I don't understand, there's a lot of competition in this space now, for desktop things. There's a lot of different units out there that are bought because of either affordability or whatever. But there's just no space for all of these things now. You need to have something that I put it in. I get the modular, that's great. 19-inch rack, I get it. Desktop, it implies you only want one thing that's a desktop because you don't have enough space. Maybe you have two desktop things, but most people's desks are really full. So I'm just really puzzled by them doing this and by the preponderance of this, because there's so many other units that are smaller, like all of the Life and stuff and various others.
There's lots of stuff you would have thought, as I'm sure Korg did, when they brought out the Op6, followed by the Mod Wave and the Wave State and the Monopoly, the Multipoly, sorry.
Multipoly.
They brought those out and they clearly had a roadmap, and down that roadmap there were desktop or keyboardless versions, and they were able to take those keyboard versions and remove the keys and put them into a module that could either be desktop or rack mountable.
Exactly that.
Now, why didn't Sequential think of that earlier on? Why did they not think I'm sure that a decent industrial designer could have compacted that down to a something that would fit in a 19-inch rack. I don't know. I just think it's either short-sightedness on their part or they just don't care.
Yeah, I mean, and there are people that like desktop stuff, I know, but I'm just running out.
Give us the option. Give us the
option. Yeah. Give us the option.
Like Korg did with all of their stuff. You can buy one of those modules, and we're happy. One group of people are happy because they can have it on the desk, and Wagoo's happy because he can stick it in his rack, and that's it. Everyone's catered for.
And that's a handsome stack. That with all of those make a handsome stack.
Well, we saw them at Superbooth. They'd actually got either 3 or 4 of those Korg modules in a rack, vertical stack like this. I mean, that was an incredible tour de force of sound right there. I just think it's an odd decision.
In these days, maybe I jokingly said a Davenport or something. Maybe that's what it needs. Maybe it needs someone to come up with a drawer set that sits on your desk that you could put 3 or 4 of these things into, pull them out as you need them, and so it's you have one block of space which occupied by that, but then you need your monitors higher, and I don't know.
I think the trick.
Yeah, I think I'm being a whinging old man as well, but but it does feel odd. Ken?
It does make you wonder. When they sat down, around a table designing this thing a few years ago, as it probably was, that they thought, okay, we're going to release these, and they're going to be 37. Are they 37 keys, or we're around that, aren't they? So we're going to have a 37 thing, and 2 years down the line, we'll put out, if there's enough demand for it, we'll put out the module, the desktop version. Did they just stop there and go 19-inch rack? Anyone? No, that's it. It's 25 past 5 on a Friday. Mate, let's go at the pub.
Well, last year, when Korg were bringing out all these SE keyboard versions of things, and we're all going, well, 1,800 quid, why are you paying that much for something that costs less, blah, blah, blah. What was really, and why have you got so much space either side? You could have done things with that. What that talks to is they've designed something that can be lifted from there and put into a rack, and then that gives them the other parts of their line. So actually, in retrospect, maybe that was a really smart move on their part.
And Modal did the same as well.
They do. That's true. Yeah, they do.
So, I don't know.
Ken?
It's interesting. I mean, that's Sequential's take. I mean, surely nobody else would make that same mistake, you think, huh? look, we all knew that the TO5 or TO5 or whatever, however you pronounce that, is it his initials, isn't it? Tom E Oberheim, I think is where it comes
Edna?
from. We all knew that was basically, let's take that the Take 5 thing and drop some Oberheim guts in there. Clearly, a platform being used across it, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that because they are two different synthesizers and they sound different and they behave differently. And again, I kind of wrote them both off when they came out because it just wasn't floating my boat. But having played these at various shows, the Oberheim one, that's the one I get because it's absolutely that Oberheim sound. And if you're looking for that in an affordable package, there you go, it's there. But again, it's a tabletop unit that really doesn't float me boat.
Well, here's the thing. That demo, as opposed to the Take 5 one, was sufficiently glorious in terms of the sounds and how it was presented to make me actually quite lust after this. Exactly the same size. I just love the sound of it. I love the sound of it. And I agree with you. This is the better offering because it is more obviously and uniquely Oberheim. You've not mentioned how much these are yet, by the way.
I was just about to tell you. So the keyboard version of the TO5 is €1,600, so probably about £1,400. The desktop module is €1,300, so you're not saving a vast amount there. And those prices have gone up, and of course that started all sorts of comments around the interwebs about tariffs and where these things are made, etc., etc. And by the way, the prices for the Take 5, I believe, are identical. But let me just double check that. On the Take 5, what did I say? The other one was $1,599 and $1,299.
$1,299.
Yeah, so 1,600 and 1,300. The Take 5, actually, the keyboard version you can currently pick up is on sale at the moment. So it's about €1,500. But the desktop module is the same. Those prices have gone up, and they've I don't know. Lots of people are saying, "Oh, they're just taking advantage of this tariff situation and putting their prices up, and then they can just turn around and blame it on those." I don't know. I'm sure there's something in there. Things will eventually go up. They're not cheap, and when you think about it, and I hate to be the one that says this, you can buy instruments
16.
that will claim to give you the Oberheim sound or the Prophet sound for a lot less.
Yeah.
But, if I wanted the Oberheim sound, I'd probably save my pennies and get one of these because I know I'm getting genuine Oberheim sound with a... Yeah. So, I don't know. It just seems like an odd decision to have not made this a rack-mountable thing. And I don't normally care about that, but it just seems like it's a real missed opportunity. And it's not just Wagyu who's going to be upset that you can't fit this in a rack. There's going to be lots of other people.
I would have expected this to be around $800, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's...
I mean, somebody they might argue the point that it's an analog synthesizer, so you're going to be wanting to be hands-on with it, and maybe a rack mount synthesizer means that you're not going to be so hands-on with it because it might be in a stack of things over there. But isn't there software controllers or software editors for these? So I don't know. I just think it's a really, really big missed opportunity. The power supplies are built into these units. Drop the power supply out, shrink it down a little bit. I'm sure most people wouldn't mind a little wall wart or a inline thing. If it meant stick it into a rack, you'd sell loads more. I'm sure. Kent, talk to me.
What? Give me a bloody moment. So how can I?
Go on then.
Shut up, Kent.
Just sit there and say nothing now. Just out of spite.
Okay then. Right. You're sitting comfortably. Take 5. All right.
Yeah.
The Take 5, at least with me personally, is already at a disadvantage because after paying nigh on £1,800 for a Pro 3 and it only lasting 9 months before it died, has kind of put me off the new versions of sequential stuff anyway. And then with the Teo and stuff like that, you look at the price and you go, okay, I would rather have the Dreadbox Artemis, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is what I'm actually going to save up for instead. Anyway.
How much is that?
I think it's about 1,049 area.
12.99 euros. So yeah, about £1,000, just over £1,000.
Yeah. That is that neck of the woods.
Thing.
And it sounds delicious. But more to the point, at least as far as I'm concerned, it fits my music better than.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all right, but the Artemis fits better, and the sound tickles the testicles better. So end of.
Testicles.
And that's my opinion,
Testicles.
or anybody else's for that matter, because it's a delicious. The Artemis is beautiful. I love it. I think it's a gorgeous sound.
It does sound, for a little desktop unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether it's going to fit on the Hydra Deluxe there. And if it doesn't matter. I'll just make a space for her because she's a lovely little unit.
It's not that big, as the actress said to the bishop.
Mm.
It really isn't. I mean,
it's not massive, no. And it might just fit on there fine.
It'll sit nicely.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat must have an Artemis and a Hydra Synth Deluxe. Let us know. But yeah, I really, and I'll tell you why I've kind of fallen a bit more for the Artemis in a little bit later on. I don't want to steal our own thunder.
Okay.
But yeah, it's that's certainly, when you think about 6-voice analog poly, the Artemis ticks so many boxes.
Yeah.
And it's got a different sound to all. It's not trying to be something else. It's trying to be itself, and it succeeds. It's a really, really good sounding thing.
Yeah.
Sliding. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I must admit that it's very, very rare where a demo of a synth comes along. In fact, it wasn't even a demo. I think it was James Dyson just playing one night. And
Funny you should say that.
Yeah. Well, beep. James Dyson's doing a little video, and I went, "Oh, this thing is absolutely gorgeous."
Well, let's have a listen.
Sold.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just nudge the volume up here. This is the Apollo sound set, which is available now from James Dyson Sounds for your Artemis. We could sit there and watch that all day because it's a really good demonstration, and it's a great sound set if you are an Artemis owner. Let me just bring us all back on the screen. There we go. So if you haven't, if you're not aware of the Artemis, it is a 2-oscillator, infinitely variable wave shaping with sync, FM, and pulse width. 1 sub-oscillator and noise generator, a switchable low-pass filter, 12 dB, 24 dB with keyboard tracking, drive, and oscillator noise FM, a high-pass filter, two ADSR envelopes, 2 LFOs with BPM sync, 4 stereo effects, a polyphonic sequencer, an arpeggiator, and responds to polyphonic aftertouch. Hook it up to either of those two babies you've got next to you there, and you're away. And it's €12.99 euros, that is. And you put this up against either one of those, and you think, like you say, this one has more appeal, I think.
It really does. It really does. It really, really does.
Yes. But some people, want, just want sequential. They just want Oberheim, and that's fine.
Well, it's horses for courses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, there'd only be one type of synth available on the market, wouldn't it?
Yeah, talk of the devil. I think we've summoned him into the room.
Yeah. And we've also got to compliment him on his wonderful hoovers as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I did an article this week on Gear News, and I said James Dyson. No, not that James Dyson.
He's probably sitting there going, "Oh, I've never heard that one before."
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to do this. I wouldn't normally do this on the show, but we are pushed for information and content. So I did that article, and James sent me information on both. He's got a new sound set for the Artemis. He's got a new one for, oh god, it's just literally banged out of my head. What's the other one for? Carbonate, modal carbonate.
Oh yeah, the carbonate, yeah.
So he said, do you think you could talk about these on the show? I said, of course I can, not a problem at all. I thought, well, I do this column every week on Gear News called Sounds and Presets, where I thought when my editor pitched this to me, however long ago it was, he said, why don't you do, sorry, this is a terrible German accent, why don't you do this article every week on the Sounds and Presets? And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But I thought, this isn't going to last more than maybe a month or so. Every week I get sent stuff, and so anyway, James says, can you feature these? Yeah, I thought I'll stick him in that column. And because he's got two sound sets, I thought I'd make him the feature part of that column. He was the headline part of the column. And James, as we know, is a reclusive, quiet chap. He doesn't like to blow his own trumpet, let alone anybody else's. And so there's very few
there was that
pictures
incident in the car park, wasn't there?
Well, there was that.
Yeah.
But there's very few pictures of James around on the internet, apart from the one that you see there, which is an AI-generated image in the Studio Ghibli style. But it kind of, having seen James, I've never seen James wearing a suit, but it kind of looks a bit like James. And I thought, you know what? I'll use that as the cover shot for the article. I got more comments on that article from people who are viciously, and I don't use that term lightly, viciously anti-AI. Anything to do with AI, they just jump on. It's the new thing. It's the new thing they crucify you with. And I got so many abusive comments. How dare you use this thing? Oh, this guy can't be worth anything because he's using AI as a blah, blah, blah. Talking about James and me. I'm like, oh, the world's gone mad. Mad, I tell you.
It's a freaking picture to,
I know.
Go and get life. Listen to the sounds, read the review, see whether you like them. The picture is freaking irrelevant.
Exactly.
And James is a genius. I love James.
Yes, he's a clever man. Don't big him up too much. He gets a bit big for his
He's a twat. I hate him.
He's a nice guy, but let's wind it in. So anyway, so the Dreadbox Artemis, I think we've all said that if somebody gave you 1,500 quid and said buy a desktop poly analog synth, and you've got the Take 5, the TO5, and the Artemis, I think we'd probably end up with 3 Artemises, wouldn't we?
But there is another one, isn't there?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Do you not have another video to play from James?
Oh yes, we'll talk about that in a bit.
We don't have to get there too quickly, though, do we?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, come on, just pace yourself.
Because
tea break.
I think
Don't shoot the bolt too soon.
Well, actually, I'm talking of James. James very
Do we have to?
kindly. Yeah, we do. James very kindly. We know we don't have to, but I would like to. He very kindly donated half the sound set that he and I, we put together for the launch of the ODC 2800. And it's good fun. He's very good at doing this, and he's covered a lot of ground. So, generally, if he's doing sound sets for things, they're instruments worth paying attention to.
And of course, if you sign up to the ProSynth Network Patreon page, there's a whole bunch of James Dyson sounds over there, as well as sounds from you and from others. But yeah, there's some really, really good stuff over there. He's not to be dismissed easily, that one. And he charges like $9.99 for a bank of sounds, which is pretty good these days. My only quibble, all right, and I'll say this because I know he's watching and I know he's listening. My only quibble is his retail method is a little bit old-fashioned and archaic. And so if somebody's good at setting up a web store, maybe they could donate their time to set James up with a web store on a little website, because
that would be good.
It would just make things. I think he'd sell tons more. That's my only thing. The sounds themselves and the bloke are both brilliant. So
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway, he'll probably have a go at me later on for that. But that's okay. What have you got in your mug?
Coffee.
Oh, okay.
What else?
I don't know.
Vodka.
We've got, well, yeah, right.
Don't drink alcohol, do we?
The last bit of.
Vodka.
Yeah.
There we go.
I did think about putting that beer in this, but I always remember, and I don't know if it's true. I never tried it as a kid. Is it true that you get drunk quicker if you drink alcohol through a straw? Or is that an old wives' tale? I always got told if you
How
wanna
would
get drunk
drinking it?
quickly-
How would drinking it through a straw increase its alcohol content?
It doesn't,
No, it doesn't-
increase the alcohol
it just
content. What it
speeds-
does, it presents more surface area for any amount of alcohol you take through a straw onto the tongue, into the cheeks, so that it gets absorbed more quickly into your system. That's the theory. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But
Never tried it.
As opposed to
Drink it-
downing a pint out of a glass.
drinking heavily also does the job.
Well, yeah.
Oh well.
It also does. the
Fruity
job.
squash in there. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know about the science behind it. But I was always told that back in
Probably
the
isn't
80s.
any.
A lot of the girls that I knew, maybe it was just that I was hanging around the wrong type of girls, but they all said, "Oh, if you want to get drunk quickly before you go into the club, drink your thing through a straw, and you get drunk more quickly, and then you have to buy so many drinks in the club where they're more expensive."
And it's the same people that were saying if you put a fish on a skateboard, it's not a fish anymore.
So what?
What?
Exactly. If you put a fish on a skateboard, it's not a fish anymore. You can't call it a fish.
The perhaps surrealist network.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know. Excuse
Since
me.
last
Right.
week. Since
Anyway.
last week, though, I've installed version 3 of the OS for this.
And you did a very good video on it.
Thank you.
And it's on the channel right now.
It's on the channel right now if anyone wants to be even more bored than I'm making you at the moment. But, I mean, if we run out of anything
Escape.
else to do at some point, I could always just go through some of the sounds that are specifically, some of the sounds and features for the montage, the latest version. Or I could not.
Or you couldn't. Yeah.
I think
Let's-
judging by
let's
the way
see.
Robbie was like,
Oh, God,
Says-
not that.
no, basically.
I'll switch
I'll
on.
let's see how much time we have left at the end of the show.
Yeah,
if we're
let's see.
desperate, let's do it. Okay.
Only if we're desperate.
We still haven't done an hour yet.
Talking of new sounds, this thing, which you can just see in the corner, and you can probably see Kent's more clearly than mine, the Polybrute 12 this week received Factory Bank Sound Bank 2.0. So nothing's changed with the synth. There's no firmware update. It's just a brand new factory bank, which Arturia have been known to do for a lot of their hardware since. It's free to download. All you got to do is update the Polybrute Connect app, and you'll find it in there. And they tell me there's 40 plus new sounds. So that's probably like 42 or something. 40 plus new sounds, and they've rearranged the sound banks slightly differently. So if you've got projects that sort of reference the original factory sound bank, you can still keep it and just swap it over. But there are some new sounds in there, and they are rather good new sounds. So yeah, you can download, if you have a Polybrute 12, you can go and download the What's It Now. And my friend Mickey is in the chat, and all he seems to be doing today is being the grim flipping reaper, and he's just announcing people that have died today. So we'll come on to that a little later. But geez, mate, cheer up. Right.
Who's Mark
Okay.
Snow?
Sorry?
Who's
Who's
Snow?
Mark Snow? X-Files.
Yeah. There's more than one person in the X-Files, isn't there?
No, he wrote the music for the X-Files.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Oh.
So yeah, there's of course, yeah. I mean, poor Michael Madsen passed away as well, and of course Diogo Jota, the footballer. Ugh, oh, vey, what a week!
But most
What a week!
importantly of all,
Our solar water pump.
So the water pump died. Yeah.
Well, it was eaten.
So yeah. Anyway, we'll come on to the in memoriam section
Yeah.
of the show.
okay.
And Kent's water pump.
Well, we've got a little string quartet lined up over there, and a PowerPoint of pictures that will slowly move through. Just a little bit later on. Let's not get too sad right now. Okay, so we've talked about the Artemis, which we weren't even planning to talk about, but in relation to, of course, the TO5 and Take 5 keyboardless versions or desktop versions, but not rack mountable versions. And of course, we've talked about 4's Pivot, which is the 3-operator software FM synth, which is rather good, and you should all go out and buy that right now. And that really doesn't leave us a huge amount of stuff to talk about. James Dyson has done another sound set, by the way. Let's have a listen to that. Why don't we? Let me just bring that into the doodah. Where is it? Where's it gone, James? What have you done with it? Where is it? It's not where. There it is. No, that's not it. That's for ODC. Where is?
There's a link.
I know, but I was trying to be clever and go through in a different way. But
Okay.
let's go over here. I'm sure I called it up somewhere, so I'm probably going to click on the wrong link now because there's 2 links. Oh, there it is.
Peter wants to know what he's missed.
Sorry,
very little, mate. You're all right.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to play all this because this is an hour and 40 minutes of one of James's live streams where he's just going through and doing sounds and shit like that. So let's bring this in to the studio. Here it is. Have a listen to this. It's just there we go. Of course, this is the modal Carbonate, which is the 3rd in their series of, I don't know if the family has a name. Argon, cobalt, carbon. Is it elements? Is it the elemental range? They're not elements though, are they? Argon's an element, but I don't think.
It's a gas, isn't it?
Carbon's an element. Yeah, but it's an
Yeah,
element.
that's true.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's an element,
Is
They're
cobalt
periodic releases.
Ah,
Oh dear.
but there you go. But do you know, I played this synth when it first appeared, and we were like, yeah, but now they finished it. It's actually really, really good. And there's the Carbon 8X, of course, which is the 61 note version, which they debuted at Super Booth this year.
How much are these?
Not a huge amount of money at all. Let me just confirm. Have a listen to James's wonderful sounds while we do this. The Carbon 8 37 key version is 859 of your British pounds.
So
Rather
very
less
keenly
than
priced.
Rather
I
less
imagine
than a Take 5 or a TEO.
Exactly, yeah. Still retains the Fatar key bed and everything.
This reminds me of the Novation stuff as well. It's got that sound which is just glorious. Yeah. Lots of modulation.
Anyway, oops, where have we gone? We're there. There we go.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I know, but it's an hour and 41 minutes long, so go and enjoy it somewhere else.
The interesting thing about that, it was the sounds were not just being sounds; they were being sounds for people who play.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the thing.
and James can play. That sound set, along with the Apollo sound set for Artemis, are just £9.99. If you want to buy those sound packs for either of those synths, go to those videos on James. The channel is James or JD Soundsets on YouTube. So at JD Soundsets, and there is a link in there to his email. And you just PayPal him $9.99. He sends you the files, which is why I was saying I think if somebody could sort James out with setting up a web store, proper web store, then he'll be flying.
The quicker it is, the more he'll sell.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Quicker and easier it is to do it.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, clickboard done.
We should sort something out.
So overspent because of stuff like that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what James needs, is to sell more of them. So,
Yeah.
of course, James is messing around with the Moog Messenger at the moment, which I've been messing around with as well. He's already got some sounds together, and he's going to share those with us shortly. Not today, but soon. Just great.
How good is
Really
he with
stuff.
resistors? Because then he could write some new patches for the CS80.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, speak. Have a talk.
Yeah, I'd have a song.
Yeah, indeed. So, let's see. What can we talk? Well, actually, whilst we've been on air, the lovely, the wonderful Dina Perlman, who was in the chat earlier, but has now scooted off to watch her husband play music and stuff. She sent me a couple of links through for a couple of day events that are happening in August, on the 9th and the 10th of August. These are in-person events, so these really only apply if you can either live in America or can get to America for these events. Excuse me. So the first one, let me just bring this into the studio. So this one features a mutual friend of ours, the wonderful Rupert Greenall, from The Fix, of course, a British band that did probably far, far better over in the US than they did here in the UK. So it's an ARP exhibition opening featuring Rupert Greenall, Robin Hatch and Steve McQuarrie for museum members, because this is being held at the Museum of Making Music, which is, of course, the NAMM Museum in Carlsbad. It's free to museum members or $30 to non-members. And it's the debut of the ARP Instruments exhibition that Dina was telling us about just a few weeks ago. Curated by Brian Kehoe, which I'm sure most of you know who Brian is. He's a bit of a legend. Developed in collaboration with the Foundation. And there's an opening weekend of events, and this is the first one on the Saturday. So there'll be an opening reception. There'll be live performances from Rupert, Robin, and Steve. And you can, their credits are incredible when you look at who they played with and on.
Robin's performance, by the way, in the 100th anniversary thing at the ARP Foundation earlier this month, was it, or the end of last?
The event at EMIAP, yeah.
EMIAP, absolutely astonishing. She's absolutely brilliant. They were all good performances, but hers was outstanding.
Yeah.
And Rupert, of course, is a legend. We should try and get Rupert on.
He's such a nice guy. Yeah, no, we must.
Really lovely guy.
I met him completely by chance. It was a few years ago for Synthfest UK. Dina was supposed to be coming up, and her ride let her down. I can't remember if it was supposed to be Dave Spears or something. But anyway, something happened and she couldn't. And Rupert came to the rescue. And I get this phone call from Dina saying, "I'm coming. Don't worry, I'm on my way." My friend Rupert's been. I just thought her friend Rupert. I never thought anything of it. And she walked into the room with Rupert flipping green. I was like, "Oh, that's Rupert. Okay, fair enough." And he's such a nice guy. And he recently had a bit of an accident and broke his leg, I think.
Did he?
Serious accident, yeah. But recuperated and is back on tour with The Fix, who have been touring relentlessly for many years. So he's a really nice guy and knows his onions. So that's happening on Saturday, August the 9th at 6 p.m. Pacific time at the Museum of Making Music in Carlsbad, California. The following day, then there's the Tech Talk and History Flashback. So you can see lots of wonderful faces there you should recognise. You've got the wonderful Dan Goldstein at the top there. You've got, of course, the wonderful Dina Perlman.
Yay!
In the middle. You've got the amazing Julie Lewis, whose husband was Don Lewis, the great legendary Don Lewis. And you've also got Jim Heinz and Lamar Mitchell. So there's And Lamar, I mean, if you've ever watched a Nam video where Stevie Wonder is walking around, because Stevie's always walking around at Nam, Lamar is the guy that's generally to his left or his right. He's Stevie's keyboard tech and programmer, and has done way more besides. So those guys will be there on the Saturday, August the 10th. Again, free to museum members, $20 to non-members, and that happens on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. So there's some great people to go and listen to. And Julie is amazing. Julie Lewis is just a wonderful woman. She's just like an extension of Don. Just beautiful human being. So yeah, there we go. I hope that satisfied Dina. She sent those through to me just after we started the show. So fingers crossed that's got through to some people. And if you can go, tell us, take some pictures. Wear your ProSynth Network t-shirts. So yeah, there we go. Right. I think let's deal with some sad news, because as I said, Mickey the Grim Reaper Dodds, my old friend from Northern Ireland, is announcing many people dying today. First of all, Mark Snow has passed away. Mark Snow was probably most famously known for the music to the X-Files. He's passed away at age 78. It doesn't say what he passed away from. Symptoms incompatible with life, I would imagine. But he's an American composer for film and TV, and of course, most famously known for the X-Files. And that song, I mean, do you remember? I don't know. I remember when the X-Files first came out, and everybody loved the theme music. They released the theme music as a single, and then stuck it on a dance beat, so you had to kind of like a dancey version of the X-Files. It seemed a bit cheesy, but didn't it go to #1 or something? It was just it was that big.
Yeah, it did well.
It's a big thing.
There was probably nothing else in the charts of any
Didn't Dennis
notoriety at the time.
Yeah, it's. But he also wrote music for shows like Heart to Heart and Starsky and Hutch, Smallville, and other things. Yeah, so he's a prolific composer, and sadly has passed away at his Connecticut home today. So yeah, that's a shame. Another one that has just been announced today, which actually does kind of hit home a bit, because I was a big fan of this guy's work, is Louis Jardin. And Louis was percussionist extraordinaire, probably most famously known for being Trevor Horn's go-to guy for just like all the stuff that Trevor Horn did in his imperial phase in the 1980s. All of that percussion you hear on things like Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Slave to the Rhythm, which is just incredible, and just so much. And he was still playing, and he played with so many people, and he has sadly passed away today as well, which is a big shame.
I'm going to miss. I'll miss him. He was an astonishing.
He went on tour with likes of Tina Turner, George Michael, Rod Stewart. He obviously did Seal as well, ABC, Lexicon of Love. I mean, the list of people he's worked with. I mean, let's start at the top. Paul McCartney, Rolling Stones, David Bowie, Cher, Grace Jones, Bjork, Bee Gees, Duran Duran, Robbie Williams, Elvis Costello, Tom Jones, Diana Ross, Rod Stewart, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Elton John, George Michael, Cyndi Lauper, Gloria Estefan, Jeff Beck, Fish, Tina Turner, Roddy Frame, Billy Idol, Coldplay, David Gilmour, Tears for Fears, The and Marillion, and so on and so forth. I mean, just...
And me.
And you. Doesn't say here on Wikipedia, though.
I know it doesn't say me on Wikipedia, but that's fine. He
also worked with Asia, Ray Charles, Beverly Craven, Brian Ferry, was all over Welcome to the Pleasure Dome in Liverpool by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and also on Holly Johnson's, a couple of Holly Johnson's albums as well. He was just one of the great percussionists, and sadly has passed on. So go and listen to some of their music and remember those people. I was a fan of Louis ever since I kind of realised who he was and what he was playing with. And I've got a weird story. So he married Linda, who was one of the backing singers in the Buggles. And I wrote a piece on my own blog years ago about Trevor Horn or something, because I am a massive Trevor Horn fan. And I wrote this thing, and I received a message, a comment on the thing, supposedly from Linda, who came across as very bitter about, like royalties and all this kind of stuff. And I just wasn't ever sure whether it was her or not. Sadly, she passed away about 9 years ago. So I was never able to determine whether it was her or not. But it was a weird thing. And I think she was probably, I don't know, it's just strange. Anyway, Louis gone, Mark's gone. I'm sure, there's lots of others.
And Jill Sinclair, who would have been at the heart of such things, was she's gone as well. So
that was tragic. That really was a horrible thing. I met Aaron, because if you're not aware, what happened with Jill Sinclair was that Aaron, I think he was with one of his brothers or sisters, and they were playing with an air rifle in the back garden, and there was a miss shot. It wasn't a deliberate act, but it got her in the neck, and she was in a coma for years. And I don't think Trevor would give up on her, but eventually she didn't she contract cancer while she was in a coma, I think, or she got diagnosed with cancer while she was. I mean, just horrible thing. But there we go. Moving on swiftly to more jovial matters. Well, I say jovial matters. There was a topic that was brought up in the Facebook group just yesterday or today. By our very own Nick Howes, who said he wasn't going to be on the show or watching the show tonight, but he's in the chat clearly, so he lied. But anyway, Nick brought up this this topic of sonar, which is of course the old Cakewalk digital audio workstation. So Cakewalk went the way of whatever some years ago, and then the brand was bought by BandLab, who are a Singaporean company, I believe, and they resurrected it and made it free. They made Cakewalk free. BandLab for Cakewalk or whatever. It was free. It was Windows only, but it was free. And I thought, well, that's not bad. And lots of people got kind of excited that a company had taken on the brand and were doing something positive, giving back to the community, sort of thing. But it turns out now they've dropped Sonar, which was the flagship product, and now they've made it subscription only, and lots of people don't like subscription. And I just thought it might be worth discussing. We operate in a world where subscription models are everywhere, whether it's for software or other things. Subscription is the way, it seems to be. But when it comes to your digital audio workstation, the very thing that many people, not everyone, but many people use as the foundation for their creativity, is making that a subscription thing a wise move, or certainly making it subscription only and not giving people the opportunity of having a perpetual license? Because it's the foundation for a lot of people. It's the foundation for their work. And subscriptions, if they could just pull the plug and all of a sudden it's all gone, and I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about subscriptions for foundational tools like your digital audio workstation? Anyone?
Kent.
Bueller?
I am not a fan of subscription.
Mm-hmm.
I was brought up that you buy something, you own it, and it's yours. Renting something and not being in control of it, and could be pulled from under your feet at any moment, or have something done to it that suddenly it doesn't work on the system you've got or whatever, is annoying. However, that said, there's a positive side to subscription of, if you don't have an awful lot of money floating about, it gives you access to stuff that you might not be able to buy normally as a lump. And as long as you manage that, when those subscriptions go out, it allows you to get on and get going much sooner.
Yeah.
So I think subscriptions suit some people and do not suit others. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So it's neither good nor bad. It depends on who you are.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that people were getting slightly upset about was that they ditched the cakewalk for BandLab or BandLab cakewalk or whatever it was called. They ditched that, and now they've brought sonar. And you've got the full sonar thing, which is subscription based, and there's also a free version of that, but it's severely like limited or crippled in some because it's free. It just seems like BandLab took over this brand and kind of made themselves appear like, you know, the kind of the Robin Hoods of the world of digital audio workstations. We're going to make it free for everybody, you know. We're not going to, and then all of a sudden they kind of flipped that, and now they're going into this whole subscription thing. I subscribe to is it Reason? They call it Reason Plus, and there are two reasons why I do that. Number one is I'm a long-term Reason user. I am never going to get rid of it because I'm so in that world, and I use it a lot. So I'm always going to have it there because I find it very, very useful. But also, I've got a bit of a discount on the subscription, so I don't pay full whack for the subscription. However, you don't have to have a subscription. You can just buy the program, so you don't have to subscribe. Now, the subscription contains a number of benefits, so you get access to all of this extra content as part of the package, but you don't have to. And that's the thing. You have an option, and it's a full paid for option. You get the full version of the application. You just don't get all the kind of the nicey freebie sound packs and all that kind of stuff. Whereas what's happening with Sonar here is that you've got the full version, that's your subscription model, or you've got this really kind of limited free thing. I'm not sure that's the same sort of thing. There's no paid for option where you can just say, look, I'm going to give you 200 notes and I'll have that. Thank you very much.
I mean,
So
if Cubase became subscription tomorrow, I'd
Would you drop
subscribe. No, I'd subscribe.
Exactly.
Because
you're so invested in it.
I've been using it for nearly 40 years. You know, to go to. I mean, yeah, I've dabbled with other doors, and I'm going. Oh, so where's that, and where's that, and how do you do that, and what's it called? Or it depends on what name it is, and because it got different names for different things from between the doors. So I'd have to jump onto the subscription bandwagon, but it would be the only subscription I'd jump onto.
Yeah.
And I say that and then go,
purely 'cause
but if
your hand's behind your back.
Spitfire Audio then did it,
Yeah.
and then if Synthophobia, East West did it, so I don't like subscription. But if my hand is forced, I will have to swallow it and go with that flow.
I mean, stuff like this kind of it makes me think. Well, yeah, because apart from Reason, I also use Logic, not just metaphor. In my reasoning. What was the T-shirt you say? I'm an atheist producer. I use Logic and Reason. But Logic. People can hate on Logic and love Logic, but at the end of the day, Logic is $199, pounds, whatever. You buy it once, and you never. For however many years, you've never had to pay for an update, big or small. When I came into Logic, it was the early days of Logic X, Logic Pro X, whatever.
Yeah.
Now we're in Logic 11.2. Never paid anything more.
Does that suggest that Logic is the most prolific DAW out there?
It's got to be.
Because if you want to buy Cubase, it's about $499.
Exactly.
I think it is. And the updates, are, so when, what am I on now? I think I'm on 14. So when 15 turns up, it will be X pounds, 89 quid or something like that. But it's still 89 quid.
Yeah.
I suppose I could look at that as a subscription in a way, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, Logic is Mac only. I wonder if they would ever consider doing a Windows version.
What, now?
Well, it used to be.
It used to be. Yeah, when
it started out as Mac and PC. In fact,
I don't think they go. I don't think they go back. I don't think they go back.
It's exclusive.
Part of the dev. Here's the thing about this, and it's kind of it's worth bearing in mind. In the video world, Resolve is the free software. You can buy it, or it's free if you buy a camera or part of their kit. Video editing software. And once you've bought it once, 249 quid or something, or bought a piece of kit that has a license, it's free forever. That's because they make their money from the cameras and from the all the other stuff they do black magic. And they also they used to make all their money from their colour correction stuff. So for them, it's kind of like it's supported by the hardware sales. But even they are now looking at it going, do you know what, we've gone down this road so far now and so many people are using it, and it requires so much support to keep this running and to add all the new features in that people want. Maybe we need to start charging more or doing a subscription-based model. They're thinking about it. Same thing happened with Premiere Pro and all that. Same things also happened with Cakewalk. Cakewalk was I used to be a really big user of Cakewalk. For a long time I was using nothing but that and Sonar.
It was you then in the UK that was the one Cakewalk
Yeah, it was
user.
him. Yeah.
Because it really didn't take off over here.
I was using it and I thought it was brilliant, and I saved every single every few months I would save all the projects plus the core software, version 8, version 8.5, then Sonar 1, 2, 3, etc. So I'd save those so that I could at some point, if I needed to, run them up. Then when it died, I had no option but to switch over back to either Cubase or whatever, and I've got most of the things, but I've kind of settled on Cubase. At the moment, BandLab bought it, and they bought it back as a freebie, and it was a pretty good freebie in that most of the stuff I could do on the original version of Cakewalk was still available to do. The issue with free software is all the licenses you need for things like MP3, Fraunhofer playback, for any of the video playback algorithms, for a Dolby AC3 playback or encoding, all of that requires a license which Cakewalk have to pay for. So if they're giving it away for free, they're automatically making a loss if they're developing. And so BandLab took that on to grow people, to bring people over into their community. It was a calculated thing, but people got support. Now they've got to the point where it's kind of, okay, we've decided to develop this some more. We've put some people on it. We're doing some coding. There are going to be costs involved with that, and they're going to charge a subscription. If you don't like it, go and use something else. I mean, really, go and use something else. I think it was excellent software. I've not tried the latest version that they're now touting, but the free Sonar version they had up until about a year ago worked brilliantly well. It worked very, very well.
I like Ken Flux Pierce on July 4th. He's had a day off. He's got a day off.
Yeah. He's had a few beers.
He's had a few. Ken, please don't be that American that wakes up tomorrow with less things than they had today. Okay, just promise me that. He's on form. But no, it's No, I take your point and say we are so lucky these days that we have a choice, and we don't have to necessarily fork out huge amounts of money, because you have things like Reaper, which is what, is it still $69 for a standard license, or a little bit more if you want a full commercial license. But even if you don't want to do that, it's unlimited shareware, so you'll just get a little nag screen.
From the other side of the fence, subscription models are good for companies. It gives them revenue throughout the year, rather than when they just release a product. So, I can see why companies would want to switch, because I feel it in me water that at some point Spitfire is going to announce they're going subscription only.
Honestly, I think it's the way that everything is going to go eventually.
Well, since it's been bought up by whatchamacallit, now it's gone.
The point I was
who
making,
are a subscription model kind of company.
Splice, yeah.
The point I was making about Cakewalk and BandLab is, and or about, yes, I was, and or about Resolve,
sharpening
the
the
video
stick
software, is video software by Resolve is free or a one-off price, and then nothing. You don't pay any more since, because they're a hardware company. The same with Logic. Apple don't care. They just want you to buy it. It's a bit of an offset, but it's part of their
It helps.
entire ecosystem.
Oh, he's done it again.
He's done
Turn
it again.
it off.
He
part
didn't,
of their
he didn't even
entire-
do the
Turn it
jet.
off.
He didn't even do that.
I know.
Oh,
This is
hello.
crooked dude.
It's part of their entire ecosystem, and it's that's a business model for them.
Could
That's
you
a business
imagine
model.
your pigs in blankets as a subscription model? What would you say to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Logic is one of those things. I mean, it was a very, very clever purchase by Apple, and they took it on. They continue to develop it. It's still, some people like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's still one of the best digital audio workstations out there for so many people. And the fact is, as somebody did point out in the chat, you don't need to worry about security because it is Mac only. The Mac is the dongle. You don't need to worry about anything. So, it's a perfect kind of business model for them. And luckily, I mean, a lot of people were very skeptical about Logic when it became, this Apple product, and they said, "Oh, that's it. It'll probably just get, it'll disappear." But it didn't. They put a team. They got the team of people, and they develop it, and they put lots of groundbreaking stuff in. Sometimes, it plays a little catch up with certain features and other things. But, the fact that you can get Logic for £199 or dollars or euros, and you just pay that once, you never pay anything else. And every time they upgrade it and update it, there's some good stuff. And you might not use it, but there's always good stuff in there. It's a great thing. But
Steve,
you do have to have a Mac.
Yes, Steve, just to address that, MP3 patents certainly, they didn't, you don't have to pay a license for that. For certain Fraunhofer ones, you do, and certainly for Dolby, for AC3, decoding, encoding, decoding, you have to pay a license fee. Someone somewhere has to pay a license fee to use it. Now, there are packages you can buy, and there are ways around it with FFmpeg and all sorts of other things. So you're right, but there are still costs for creators of these things. There are costs, and it might be licensing a codec, it might be there's any number of things that can have a cost, a patent thing or some, all sorts of costs involved. And then you've got the cost of people actually sitting down coding this stuff and updating it and doing all the AI shit. So there are costs.
I'll tell you what worries me when it comes to subscriptions, and we're seeing this in the automotive world, is, for example, BMW. BMW, I don't know how far it's rolled out or if it's completely rolled out, but they have this thing where I think Mercedes-Benz as well did this thing where you buy a car, but if you want a feature, say, I don't know, cruise control, let's just say, it doesn't come with the standard vehicle. You have to subscribe to a package. And then, you subscribe to a package and they turn the feature on.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, turning features on in cars where they already exist is something that's happened for a long while. So, it would be silly for a car manufacturer to build 50 cars with different feature sets. You just build one with the same feature set. You just turn the bits on and off. So I'll give you an example. About 6-7 years ago, when I bought one car, it said that the media system that came with the car would support Apple CarPlay. So I plug in my Apple phone, and this message on the screen tells me you haven't got the Apple CarPlay functionality switched on. Please see your dealer. So I go to the dealer and I say, apparently this comes with CarPlay, but it doesn't. When I plug it in, oh no, that's an add-on feature. I said, oh, what do you have to do? Update the software? No. You give us 150 quid, and we punch in a 6-digit code on your media unit, and it just enables it. And that was it. 150 quid for a number.
Now that explains the Range Rover door locking system. It must be subscription, but they forget to tell customers, which is why they're all being stolen.
But no, I mean, this is a serious thing that's happening in the last couple of years, where they turn features. The features are there in the car. They just turn them on through a subscription model. And when so if you want a car with, say, adaptive cruise control or regular cruise control, you can pay $9.99 for adaptive or $5.99 for the bog standard one. Now, the reason I mentioned that is, how soon is it? And this was kind of spurred by a comment that our wonderful Ken Pierce, who is absolutely on form today, he says he keeps telling ASM to do a subscription model where if you don't pay all your patches, sound like jump. Glenn says I'm fired. I'm with Glenn. But no, I mean, when will... I'm sure someone somewhere will build a synthesizer and say, if you want this feature, you can pay $399 for the synth, but you need to pay another $99.99 to have these features switched on.
That's what plugins are, essentially. An awful lot of plugin software. It's a reason I will get plugins and I will use them and I will have stuff, VSTIs or whatever. But that's why I buy these things, because no matter what, I don't have to connect this to the internet to make it work. It works. I can switch the power on and I can play. Plug a pair of speakers in, boom.
I wonder if there's a Carl Weres market.
Probably. Well,
there almost certainly
there's
is.
ODB2, where you plug into the ODB port and you can switch these things up. Yeah, I mean, Roland does to a point already do this. That is very true. That is very true.
So we're never none of us will ever actually own anything anymore.
Well,
and I can see why they do it.
This.
I can see why they do it, because it's a committed income. So you're committing to say, I'll pay you £100 a year for your synthesizer subscription service. They know that they've got income coming in, and they can look down the line and say, we're going to have, they can project further, they can plan further, and it's all about squeezing the money out as just on a regular basis. And it's kind of like it's almost like a, I mean, I'm sure people will try, and I've not heard of Roland Cloud being cracked. I don't know, maybe somebody in the chat can tell me otherwise, but it's also a protection thing as well. I don't know. Yeah, like Red Walk says, if you want the poly aftertouch on this synth, it's going to cost you $9.99 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my fear, is that we're seeing it happen in other worlds of technology.
I don't think it's unfounded either. I don't think it's unfounded. People who develop things, regardless whether it's cars or synths or whatever's for mobile phones, they want to have the minimum of manufacturing costs, sell the most amount of units, and they'll do everything they can to get the most from any one platform so that their costs are kept low. So the high-end ones may have a slightly better camera, but all the feature sets are, they want to keep you engaged and involved and swapping out your phone, because it's easier doing that than just buying a phone. Pay to unlock extra voices.
8 voices out of the box, 16 if you pay us $9.99 a month.
But surely if the people resist and go, all right, I'm not buying the keyboard, fuck it.
Well,
how quick could they drop it?
At the end of the day, as with anything, customers vote with their wallets, and this is why I don't think I've seen it, go full, hell for leather. Is that a lot of these companies know that there is a big amount of resistance to the subscription model. I mean, I will subscribe to certain things, but there are other things that I just wouldn't do because I don't think it's beneficial to me. Yes, it's interesting. I mean,
it's when you find that a subscription that you have is suddenly not being updated. Nothing much is happening. We know a certain internet streaming provider that hasn't done an awful lot to warrant us taking it, except that it's very good as a platform. But sometimes people just want to get you in and then just hold you by the knackers, as it were.
I mean, one of the big fears, I remember when Roland Cloud came out, I think because it was one of the first major brands to do this kind of synthesizer plug-in subscription stuff. A lot of people were saying, but what happens in like 5 years' time when Roland say, we're not going to do that plugin anymore, and I've been renting it and I've been making stuff with it, but they've stopped doing it. Am I going to be left high and dry after giving them, maybe a couple of $100 a year for the last 5 years? That all of a sudden they're going to pull this thing. They did actually do that with the Sound Canvas plugin. So they used to have a Sound Canvas software plugin.
Yeah.
And a year or two ago, they said we're stopping it, but you can, if you've got it, you can keep it, and you can still use it. The only problem is that, for example, if you bought a new computer, or maybe your computer died, I think it's a little bit difficult to get a hold of it again. So, but there was a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, but what happens when I don't have the subscriptions anymore because they've pulled it, they've cancelled it, and I've just got all these empty spaces in my project, and I've got to go back and fill them in with other synths." Has that actually happened to anyone? Has any subscription service said, "That's it, yoink, I'm pulling it all," and then people are left high and dry? I don't think it's happened yet.
Recently, Sky, who provide TV services all over the UK and elsewhere, we had a problem with the box. It was actually a problem all over the UK, but we thought our box was dying. And I suddenly looked at it and realised Liz had been renting lots and lots of movies, or rather buying movies from Sky, which downloaded to the box. Usually we buy them from wherever, and we have them up here, have hard copies, and then get a digital thing as well. But we realised when we spoke to Sky eventually, we realised that, yes, they would swap out our box, but any movies that we had purchased that were on the hard drive that was in the box we had, if it was dead, we'd lost them forever. We'd have to buy them again. It's kind of, we bought these. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got digital copies on that box. When that box goes, you don't get them back in. Well, can't we just... No, it doesn't work like that. It's kind of... So, yeah. I
had a similar thing with Nokia back in the day. So Nokia did this thing called Nokia Comes with Music. And the deal was that if you bought a Nokia mobile device that had the Comes with Music logo, you could go to the Nokia music store and get access to everything. Okay, so it was just like having an Apple Music or a Spotify subscription. You could download everything that was in the Nokia music store, and it was big. I mean, it had all the big stuff was in there. And I had one of these Comes for Music phones, or Comes with Music, not Comes for Music. That's a little bit different. That Comes with Music, and I downloaded a crap ton. In fact, I was part of a word of mouth marketing campaign for this, and so for 30 days, every day I had to download something and then share it on social media that I downloaded it from the Nokia Comes with Music. So I got tons of legitimately downloaded music. However, it was all protected by DRM, and so the minute I moved away from that service, all of that music was absolutely useless. Now, I hadn't paid for it per se. I got a device, but it didn't cost me any more than any other mobile device. So in a way, I didn't feel too disgruntled, because by the time I moved away from all of that, I could just stream it from another service. But you could end up being left high and dry, and that's of course a lot of people's fear with subscription based models. But I wonder how soon it's going to be before we have a significant piece of hardware synthesizer that has some sort of subscription model other than the roll and plug out thing. Although maybe that is it. Maybe that is the thing. I don't know. It's weird. But no, I think it's gonna happen with more and more stuff.
That's why buying hardware that doesn't require internet connection to authorize, it's I still prefer this. It's one of the reasons I still prefer this.
Yeah. I think we're also going through a long-term learning process as subscribers and providers of subscriptions. That there is this kind of learning process, and you'll find that some providers of subscriptions are building in safety nets for because they know as well as we do that at some point things change and things can't be developed or whatever. So I think some companies are building in safety nets so that there
is a reason for subscribing for some of these things, in that if it's with a company that's got a long history and is likely to be around for a good long while, you're supporting a team of developers to continually develop and improve whatever it is you're doing. You don't have to be a subscriber with Steinberg. You just buy the updates, or you don't. unfortunately, some of the updates are also tied to OS changes. So if there's a new OS, then suddenly it doesn't work anymore. So you face having multiple machines. I've got machines with all sorts of OSs on. But it is still, certainly if you're making money from doing these things, either music or film or any sort of creation, then it's a cost of business, and it's one which you can entirely justify it.
I think that's a good point from Sean there. But it does allow companies to make dodgy revenue forecasts slightly less dodgy, because they can project. They can say, look, we've got X amount of subscribers, and they're committed through to whatever. So we can say, it's an interesting one. I mean, you vote with your wallet at the end of the day. I subscribe to Rowan Cloud. I'm very close, I think, to subscribing to the UVI one, because I think that is incredible value for money for the amount that you pay a month. It's incredibly good value for money. But you have a choice. At least we do have choice, and it's not like you can't say, oh well, there is no decent digital audio workstation out there that isn't a subscription model. There are plenty, and there are plenty that are very affordable, and some of which are that affordable they don't cost you anything. And the same with instruments and stuff. So there are options. That's the thing. And I know people that subscribe to services for a couple of months to get access to a certain thing, and then once they've got that, they bounce all the audio, bounce it all down to audio. They don't need the plugin anymore. They've done their project, and that's it. And if they want to go back to it, they just resubscribe for another £20 for another couple of months or something, and then go away again. So you can play the game your way. So
that's a really common model in video as well. Yeah,
there you go.
£5 a month.
The only person here that actually makes money from music.
Yeah. Yes, it's
a brilliant business model.
Yeah, it's a funny old game. But there you go. So Nick Howes, I hope that maybe we scratched that itch for you. As always, if you want to blame that conversation on anything, blame it on Nick, because he was the one that said we should talk about it.
Is there a higher note we could finish on? Because it's all been death and subscription so far.
Death and subscriptions, yeah.
Hang on.
I don't know. I could whack my automaton out. I can give you as the actress said to the bishop.
Oh yeah.
So saying that, I bet my batteries have run out. Let's turn this on.
Getting to know.
Yeah, our talent is to be able to talk cobblers.
It's great. They actually give you an instruction book on how to play tunes on this thing. It's the most pointless instruction book.
Carry on.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the black version doesn't really show up very well on.
Rody are doing a version of that now. That sounds very similar to what Andrew did on the pub last night.
Yeah. It sounds like a startled glove puppet.
Oh.
One for the dogs. There you go. I love this thing. More to look at than anything else. Brilliant. Anyway, make sure I turn that off. I'm amazed.
Fancy a quaver now. Don't know why.
I'm amazed the battery lasted.
Good Lord.
That killed a couple of minutes.
I've got a Stylophone 350 over here if you're interested. That'll take up 10.
Yeah. I'll whack my whatever it is, the original out, and I've got the Stylophone drum machine too.
It's weird because I remember when I was a tiny little child. Well, my dad had just died, and Mum was trying to cheer me up, and they took me to Hamleys, and I fell in love with a Stylophone
Starship
350.
Trooper. Oh no, okay.
And it was 49 quid. Mum's gone. We haven't. I don't think we got that in the bank, let alone.
Was that the big one, the 350?
The 350 is the dual stylus one, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And I'd been sold it by the bearded paedophile Rob Harris with that that flimsy record that used to come you could
Yeah,
get.
the flexi discs.
And it played the 350, but it was going through this reverb unit and everything. It sounded enormous. I'm just going, I've got to have this, Even at 12, I'm sort of like, yeah. So, and I did this thing, because now I was earning a few quid now, and going, I never got a chance to have one of them. I will. And it was going for about 300 and something quid or something like that. So I bought it, took it out of the box, put some batteries in. Oh no, it had a power supply. Sorry, it was a plug-in power supply. I went, tried out the little presets, put it back in its case and everything like that. Done
again.
Yeah. So, and funny enough, it came up. I think it came up on the pub last night, where somebody was mentioning about, I'd love to get that thing that I saw when I was, when I didn't have the money to buy it.
Nostalgia, and yeah.
And the dangers of romance with gear. There is, not on everything, but 9 times out of 10.
The thing is, I mentioned when we were having that conversation about the RM1X. Okay, so I bought an RM1X when it was brand new. Got one, loved it, used it a little bit. In fact, probably the most I used it was when we played live. I just used it as a MIDI file playback machine. For various bits in the band, but actually as a standalone kind of dance sequence remixer thing, never really used it that much. Sold it, regretted it for many years. Found one at a decent price, bought it, went through all the presets, went very nostalgic for a couple of hours, put it back on the rack there, and I haven't really touched it since. However, I no longer see an RM1X and go, oh, I sold mine. So I've got rid of that kind of longing. It's up there. I've scratched the itch. It's no longer itchy.
Technically speaking, me getting that stylophone, because I wanted one so desperately when I was 12, and I had to settle for the normal one, the little one, which was only £9 something.
Yeah.
Which back then was like 2 weeks shopping, let's face it.
Yeah.
Right? And I had that. So I'm still happy to have that, but I still hankered about, this big, super duper one.
Yeah.
And like I say, getting it got posted here, took it out of the box, went, yay, let's play with that. And it was fun, and it was enjoyable for a few minutes, and then... Now, technically speaking, I could have spent the money at a brothel and got exactly the same kind of experience. Maybe shorter time, though, but it was exactly the same experience. And sort of like, I feel better now, but it was a lot of money to spend for that brief moment of...
Thing is, we haven't got over that, because I'm still lusting after a C15. I'd love to get a C15. I would really like one, but can't bring myself to do it. And I still have got complete and unrequited love for an original synclavier with the FM voice unit, just a big, or is it the with the huge FM synth thing. I really like the sound of the FM synths, but I know I would have it and go, I've got one. Lovely thing, turn the knob a few times, make a few sounds, and then I'd get on with my life and never touch it again. It would gather dust.
Yeah. Well, like I said last night, I would probably, several times now.
9100, yeah.
More times than I care to admit, actually. I've gone, I would really like to buy a Korg Oasis again. I should never have sold it. I should buy another one, Or... hit up Neil and say, sell it back to me, kind of thing. But I know for a fact I'll go, la, 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 and get, oh, yeah. And then, at the end of the evening, stand it up over there and probably forget to go near it again.
I've seen Wagyu said get the regen. I've looked at the regen.
No, don't get the regen.
It's a great thing, but it's not... It's not that shape, that keyboard with... It's not the same thing. I want the ideal, the physical presence of that original synclavier. That's what I want. But I'm
waiting for the new one.
He's dead right. Yes, the Oasis is a straight up PC.
It is.
Using a was it a P4 2 gigs?
Yeah. Was it running Linux? A Linux thing.
I think it's Linux based, and on I think it's an 8-bit motherboard.
Yeah, it's like,
Something like
it's that's also like the EX5. You could do all sorts of things with the EX5, but if you went too far, it would run out of DSP processing and just go. You just as you're putting these patches, it would go run out of horsepower. But it's great systems, both of them, both really really good.
But I think I'm settled now, because between the Hydra Synth and the PB12 and the M8X.
Oh yeah,
That's your pension right there.
I'm just fine. Yeah. Well, I haven't got a pension, so.
Well, there you go.
So.
Well, I think you are. You're living in it.
Well, I was thinking about getting buried in the box that the M8X came in.
Well, right.
I think I'll fix it. I think I fit in that.
I went up into I've got a little loft space in my garage.
Yeah.
To get something the other day, and I found the boxes for the Polybrute 12 and the Keylab 88, and like you say, yeah, you could be buried in those things. They're massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
It's like when I was up in the attic the other day and rooting around, and I found Transcendent 2000. Right. Because I bought that because the first one I had was never in tune, because, like I said, the guy was great at electronics but shit at music and didn't know how to calibrate it. And I didn't know how to calibrate either, so I could only use like the first octave on it. So I bought another one, restored it and everything, and I go, right, I've got one now. La 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 la. 10 minutes later, I go, yeah, okay. And that was sitting on top of my Polymoog, signed by Bob, who had nothing to do with that keyboard whatsoever.
Nope.
With
in any way, shape or form. With pedals.
See, that's what made the Polymoog a great synth.
I know. So, and there's loads of keyboards up there. I'm going, shall I bring? No, I won't. It's like I'm going, I really, really miss using my Kurzweil K2000, because I've got so much sounds on the hard drive in that I collected over the years and everything. And it's really great, and I love it, and I know how to use it. I can fly around on the front panel. But I'm going, but I don't really need it down here, do I? And I've got to sort of like, stop it, Ken. Stop being a twat.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by caca that I ought to either get rid of or use. I'm still waiting, but yeah.
Well, we've managed to do it again. We've managed to fill 2 hours.
Well, let's face it, the pub is good training.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But we've managed to fill like a couple of hours with not a lot. Now I know next week there are more new things coming next week, but I don't know if we've got enough to fill 2 hours again. So we might have to do this all over. But yeah, there's some new stuff. So watch this space.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a dance off or something in the last hour.
Yeah, something like that. Or we'll review something in the style of interpretive dance.
Even better, what we really need is for you guys to send us some synthspirations.
Yes, indeed. We got sent us inspirations this week, and I was all up for playing it. It was brilliant because it was 15 minutes long.
Right.
It was really, really good. But unfortunately, the person that sent it in used some of the original music that they were referring to, and as soon as I fed that, there was quite a few bits, but when I fed that into the YouTube machine, YouTube instantly came back and said, no, not only will you not be able to monetize the video, but you won't be able to play this video in certain key territories. I was like, oh no. So I've spoken with the individual that sent that in. They said they apologized profusely. They're going to go off and edit it and try and get rid of all of that stuff. But yes, do please send in your synthspirations. And if you don't know what synthspirations are, it's this. We want to know what music inspired you to make music with synthesizers. Be it an album, single, or an entire artist's body of work, we want you to tell us why it inspired you, and given that we're a synth show, which instruments used on that album really made an impact. All you need to do is... I'm not going to play that, I hit the wrong button, but you know what I mean. Send in your synthspirations videos to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com, or you can also now use rob@prosynthnetwork.com because we managed to acquire all of that. Yeah. So, but
synthspirations. just don't
Don't
use
use
any
copyrighted
of the,
music. Yeah.
Now, hit me up. I'll write you a film score to go under it.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Some people have, what they've done is they've, who was it? I think it was, I can't remember who it was now, but they did their own little, those Top of the Pops albums where they did cover versions, but they weren't close. They were just sort of nearby. And
they were hints of. They were in the style of flavors.
Yeah.
Flavors.
So, and they did that.
Artist. That was really good.
That was very clever. Now, obviously, not a lot of people have got time to do that, but it doesn't matter if the music's not in there. It really doesn't, because obviously we can't play some of this stuff because we get slapped down by YouTube, and it affects the income that we use. Yeah, the Les Dawson mixes.
Yeah,
it affects the income that we use to keep the channel running, so we can't afford to sort of fall foul of YouTube's rules and regulations. So you don't have to have the original music. If you want to use your own music, that's fine, as long as it doesn't get us into any trouble. That's absolutely fine. But do tell us, because I'm still going through some of these videos and learning about music, or being reminded of things that I never listened to back in the day, to go back and listen to this stuff.
Lady Aptitude, I know, do an astonishing one. Steve, Mr. Elbows.
Yeah, he keeps promising
one
more.
over.
Yeah, Carl did some great stuff.
One that just set the standard, I think.
Yeah, Carl's going to do another one in his Japanese vinyl collection. Please do that.
That'd be good.
Carl's already done 2 Synthspirations. He did the brilliant Halloween one, and then he did another one as well, didn't he? It was really good.
He did.
So yeah.
And Manny, if you're in the chat,
yeah,
get one. In between doing a filling.
It doesn't have to be professional. You could just have your mobile phone do it all. Make sure you do it in landscape, not portrait, because we don't like that stuff. Do it in landscape. But yeah, please do. And if you've already done one, but you think you can do another one, do another one. It's great. There's no limits. There's no rules other than no copyright stuff. So send those in, and we'll play those during the show. And then, of course, what we then do is we take those videos and snip them out of the show, put them into Patreon and YouTube channel members, and they can watch those ad-free as much as they like, and don't have to traipse through the entire show. So yeah, please do send in your Synthspirations. So that's it, really. Thank you for joining us for the last 2 hours. I've drunk 2 pints of fluids whilst I've been doing this show, so my bladder is telling me now that I need to move. So we will. But thanks ever so much for joining us on what is a very busy, distracted weekend for our cousins across the Atlantic. We wish every single one of you in America a very happy July 4th. Like I said, please make sure that you wake up tomorrow morning with the same number of fingers that you went to bed with. That would be nice. So don't blow yourselves up with all the fireworks. Drink responsibly, but drink as much as you like, but do it responsibly. And have fun and enjoy your treason day, you ungrateful colonials. And although I've had a number of Americans say to me today, "Can you come back? Because it's not very good." But yeah, we don't want to get into the politics. But
no, not on here. No,
not on here.
Tongue biting.
Enjoy your day as best you can. And thank you very much for joining us on what is a well-deserved public holiday over there. We will see you same time, same place next week. I don't believe we have any guests lined up for next week yet. You never know, that all might change, but we do have guests booked and scheduled for upcoming shows, so make sure you give us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get over the 5,000 subscribers mark over the summer. That would be a cool thing to do.
That would be really cool.
We've got lots of new short videos, by the way, because we've found we've got a new system, or a new addition to our system, where it kind of uses artificial intelligence or machine learning to chop out nice little short videos, and they're doing incredibly well. I couldn't believe Andrew's video on the montage and my video on the messenger. I clipped a whole bunch of stuff out there automatically. Bam, there it was. It was fantastic. So yeah, do subscribe to us, do give us a thumbs up and a like, and if you're watching in the past, or in the future should I say, and we're in the past, you can still do all of that for us, that'd be fantastic. We've got Ramsey tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time with his Synth Geekery show. We've got Andy.
Do we have
Synchrotron.
synchrotron? We do.
He's been in the chat. He didn't say he wasn't doing anything, but I'm sure he'll tell us.
Okay.
But
Is that
yeah,
11
Andy
or
Synchrotron,
10?
10 a.m. UK.
10 normally. Yeah.
Yep. So you got him at 10. You got Ramsey at 2. This is all UK times, by the way.
No, apparently.
Oh, he's not. Ugh.
Oh.
Again on hiatus. What is he? What, are you on a holiday or something? You don't. Oh well. So you haven't got him at 10, but you got Ramsey at 2. You got Jamie at 6 on a Sunday. You've got Jason Jervis. Get Jervis with his kitty cats and his Pro 3 that he's been doing a lot of stuff with. He's on Sunday at 10 or 10:30. I can never remember which. One of those. But there's plenty of other synthesizer shows out there you can watch. Loads of great content. So please do go and watch all of our friends and give them a like and a subscribe as well too. And we will see you same time, same place next week. But until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a safe one. And we'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.